Hey guys, Miss Roopa here, and we are going to be jumping into a lesson on rocks and the type of rocks that are on our planet. Before we do, I encourage you to go back to our lessons that we did on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on the parts of the earth, volcanoes, types of volcanoes, because all of those things are leading us up to the lesson for today. So I encourage you, before you listen to this lesson, go back and check those other ones out if you can. So let's jump in. Rocks are a solid bunch of different materials that over time have kind of come together and formed a solid mass. Okay, so they're made up of many different things called minerals. And there are three different types of rocks that we are going to be talking about today. The first one is called metamorphic, and metamorphic rocks are formed by a ton of heat and a ton of pressure. Now, if you remember those two words, heat and pressure, where are those two things found on our Earth? And you will know, if you've listened to the other lessons, that those two things, heat and pressure, are found in our Earth's crust, okay? So that is where metamorphic rocks are formed. They are formed out of that magma, all right? And they're often made from other types of rocks. And a very distinct feature about metamorphic rocks is that you can see layers of light and dark minerals in them. So if you ever have the chance to find a metamorphic rock and you see those little bitty light and dark crystals, that's a good way to know that in your hand is a metamorphic rock, okay? Igneous rocks, my personal favorite, okay? They are the rocks that are formed by volcanoes. So when that magma, which is the kind of the lava before it reaches the surface, that magma goes up the vent and then that volcano erupts, the lava takes a very long time to cool. But when the lava does cool, it hardens, it forms these igneous rocks. And these rocks have a glassy appearance and they're very beautiful. Some igneous rocks can have pores or holes in them, and they're very diverse. So, igneous rocks, also called volcanic rocks, my personal favorite, very, very cool. The last type of rock that we're going to talk about today is called sedimentary rocks, and these rocks are formed by years and years of these things called sediments, and sediments are just little bitty tiny particles. And those little bitty tiny particles, they sit and kind of come together, and over many, many millions of years, they harden and form rocks. So if you ever find a sedimentary rock, it is going to look like just a bunch of different rocks put together into one big rock. So that is how that is formed. Also with sedimentary rocks, you will find them carried by streams and rivers and also weather. So if there's a lot of wind blowing these tiny little bitty rock particles, that is how these particles come together. So rivers or streams can carry those particles and then they can sit at the bottom of a river and come together, or they can be carried by weather. All right, so now we are going to look at this picture right here, which is called the rock cycle. So many different things on our planet have different kinds of cycles, like the water cycle for how we get the different types of precipitation that we have. There is a cycle for how rocks are formed. So we're going to take a look at how an igneous rock, which is a volcano, think volcano when you hear igneous. So it starts out as an igneous rock and then that same rock turns into a metamorphic rock. So the first stage, as you can see here, number one, we have a volcano, and that volcano is going to erupt, okay? So you have that lava. That lava is going to flow down the sides of the volcano. Eventually, over a few years, that lava is going to cool, and then you are going to have that igneous rock form. Now, let's say this volcano was forming near a river, okay? The lava at the very base of this volcano that has hardened, that river is going to pick up pieces of this igneous rock. It's going to break it apart. Maybe it's already broken apart, so it's going to carry those pieces. That river is going to drop those pieces at the very bottom of the river, lake, or even a larger body like an ocean. Now, that rock is just going to sit there for millions of years. And over that course of time, it is going to harden into one big rock. And that rock is called sedimentary. Okay? Remember, sediments coming together, you have sedimentary rock. Now, here's the thing. That sedimentary rock is sitting there and it's going to get covered and covered and covered and covered by more rocks, more dirt, more soil, anything, and it is going to be pushed deep, deep, deep down into the Earth's crust. Now, that's a lot of pressure on this sedimentary rock. And also, we are going to add heat because the Earth's crust is very, very hot once you get deeper and deeper. So now our rock has formed into a metamorphic rock. Now, this doesn't happen immediately. This happens over the course of several years. It doesn't just go igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. It takes a long time for these rocks to form, okay? So now, in front of me, I have a selection of rocks that I'm going to show you. And in each piece of paper that we have, there is a set of rocks that is igneous, a set of rocks that is metamorphic, and a set of rocks that is sedimentary. So I'm gonna go over these rocks with you guys and show you just what they look like. All right, guys, so here is my little rock collection, and I'm gonna go over the 3 types of rocks with you guys and show you some examples. So right here, we have some examples of igneous rocks. And again, igneous rocks are formed from volcanoes. So a lot of these rocks are gonna have little bitty pores, or actually large pores or holes that you can see, and they can also be very glassy. So starting from this end, this particular rock right here, the black, very glassy one, is called obsidian. Moving on, we have granite, basalt, pumice, and rhyolite. So these are all examples of volcanic rock. And as you can see, if you can see the rhyolite right here at the very end, this has a ton of holes on it. And it's very dark in color, has a ton of holes in it, and is very, very light, making it a very porous rock. So these are all examples of volcanic rock. Moving on to this section right here, these are all sedimentary rocks. So remember, sedimentary rocks are those rocks that have formed from little bitty pieces of other rocks that have sat at the bottom of a river or kind of combined in some way and formed a larger rock. Doesn't happen overnight. It takes many, many years. But starting from here, we have shale, which is a common rock that you can find here. Calcareous tufa, that's this one right here. Sandstone, this is a conglomerate, which means it's just a bunch of different rocks. It's a fancy word for a bunch of different rocks. And this one's called limestone. Another characteristic about sedimentary rocks is that when you pick them up, you will have kind of a dust on your hand from them. They're very chalky feel. They have a very chalky feel to them. And the last one that I wanted to share with you is the metamorphic rock. So these rocks are going to be formed by a ton of heat, a ton of pressure in the Earth's crust, okay? And we have slate, marble, quartzite, gneiss, and schist. And these are all different types of that metamorphic. And a characteristic about those rocks, those metamorphic rocks right here, you are going to find patterns of light and dark minerals. So especially like this one right here, you can see that those little bitty dots are different kinds of minerals that have come together. There are light and dark minerals. That is a big characteristic of metamorphic rocks. So I challenge you guys to go out in your yard, in front of your house, wherever you are, and see if you can find rocks. Look at the texture. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it large? Is it small? All of those things can help you determine what kind of rock you are looking at, okay? Take a look at the colors. What kind of shades are they? Are they light or are they dark? All of those things, yeah. So that's a challenge for you today, is to take a look at the rocks that are outside of your house and see if you can pick what category they might go into. So I hope you guys have an awesome week. I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Learning with Miss Rupa, and check out all the lessons this week on parts of the earth, volcanoes, these beautiful types of rocks on our planet, and learn as much as you can about these things. And again, hope you guys have a great week.